Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. I have Anand with me in the studio, so I thought it's a great time to dive into something interesting about what's happening in Nvidia. This is not something new. This is a strategy used by many companies throughout history, throughout time. It is not something which has been invented by them. It is a very smart way of creating noise when there is nothing to talk about. It's like taking an empty vessel and putting a stick inside it and beating it loudly, creating attention for yourself because right now they have nothing much to talk about. Considering what's the fiasco that's happened with China and China saying we don't want Nvidia anymore, and they're creating their own local chip companies, their own foundries, and they're pivoting away from Nvidia. It seems like I said in the other video, we're going to be having more and more regional chip makers, and the dependency on Nvidia is going to be less and less if this continues, especially the influence China has in its One Belt Road initiative and the reaches they have all over the world, not only in Asia, in Africa. So the influence of Nvidia may not be as we thought. So there's been a lot of pressure on Nvidia because of that. Then they of course came out with the news that they're investing in Intel. Like Anand will explain why that at least makes sense. But the recent one about OpenAI and $100 billion is what I wanted to really hit home with. And I thought Anand can explain. Is there really any signal in all this? What, Anand?
See, all this is only hype and the market is pushing it up further and further. First thing you have to understand, Nvidia does not make its own chips. So Nvidia depends on TSMC to make its chips. And the machinery for TSMC is made by a Dutch company called ASML. So the dominance of America in technology power is basically boils down to these three chip manufacturing: TSMC, ASML, and of course Nvidia. There's been a lot of pressure with America hoping to limit access to China, with TSMC coming to America, ASML refusing to sell machinery to China, and Nvidia restricting the access to China. Initially, now everybody is trying to please Trump. Trump said you can sell to China and give 15% of its revenue to me. And later that was also turned down and it just died. Then Nvidia started financing companies which were buying its own chips. But to keep this valuation bubble going, they had to announce something extremely big. Now OpenAI leads a data firm. So these guys are now putting $100 billion data firm for OpenAI in return for stake in OpenAI. Basically what Nvidia is saying, you take my chips, I'll show it as sale, and I'll take payment in form of equity from OpenAI. Now, this data farm is not going to be built up directly. Already there's shortage of Nvidia chips. This is to show that the sales is continuously increasing.
Growth is coming. Future growth is coming. More growth is there.
Same thing OpenAI tried with Larry Ellison, saying that we will build the cloud facility for you. And the Larry Ellison stock popped, he sold some and made some money. Now what Nvidia is trying the same trick by saying that he'll build a big chip farm, data farm using his own chips. So basically what you will do is you will make some chips, inflate the price, show it as OpenAI and take OpenAI stock. All this is not going to happen tomorrow. But the media messaging is going to look very good. And the price of Nvidia will go up, like what happened to Larry Ellison. At least in Intel, the 5 billion made sense because they are going to put 5 billion in cash. And second, what it can happen is ASML can deliver machinery to Intel, and Intel can be taught how to manufacture Nvidia chips. So you are de-risking manufacturing with Intel and TSMC both manufacturing Nvidia chips.
Yes, TSMC loses monopoly.
TSMC loses monopoly. At least that makes sense on paper. I don't know whether it can happen. How long it will take for Intel to learn how to do it.
Remember, Anand loves Intel.
I love Intel. I love Antigrow. And in spite of that, it doesn't make sense because Intel does not have the capability to manufacture these chips. So how long will the technology transfer take place? When will ASLs supply the machines? And Nvidia has announced that they will do big things with Intel. Code design, artificial intelligence chips and all that. I don't understand what it means. There's a lot of fluff in that. But at least on paper, Intel can manufacture chips for Nvidia, provided ASML gives the machine and there is a transfer of technology. How will TSMC take to it? I don't know. At least there is something on paper. What they have announced with OpenAI is absolute Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Basically, what you are saying is, I'll make a product for 5 rupees, sell it for 50 rupees to OpenAI. OpenAI cannot take money, so OpenAI will grant stock to me. Now, OpenAI is not a listed company, it's a private company. The valuation is what the others value it.
Correct. They have to
So,
make profit.
so I will take 100 billion from there, show value as 1 trillion for that 100 billion, and show that 900 billion as extra profits in my own book. This is really joke.
No, this sounds very familiar to what China is doing with third world countries. Like they'll come and say, we are giving you money to invest for your infrastructure because we are big brother, you're very nice. But to do this infrastructure, you have to employ a Chinese company
Yes.
and Chinese workers. So
Now
we,
the beauty is the $100 billion stake that they will take will be valued at nearly $1 trillion
which will be on
a paper
Nvidia's book.
on which is a paper profit of $900 billion on Nvidia's book.
So
It's all-
accounting jugglery more.
This is solid accounting jugglery, and the Americans are desperately trying to keep the market up. The top 6 or 7 American companies together have 1/3 of the total S&P 500 valuation.
Yeah, I
Even
read,
assume top
yeah.
10 companies.
I read even worse.
400.
I read 30 companies are controlling around 48%.
I'm saying the top 10 control 1/3.
Yeah.
So this is ridiculous valuation. This is certainly bubble territory, and I don't know who will judge. Of what little I have seen of AI and what I am seeing floating around on the net, AI can look at everything in the internet and hallucinate about it. It can do grunt work, but can it do quality work? I don't think so. Can it outthink a human today? I don't think so. Where repeated moves are required, it may do better than humans. But whether can it think like a human? I don't think so. But what Nvidia tells, what Nvidia is doing, what Oracle is doing, Americans are desperately trying to keep the boom going. Because, like one American said, a lot of America's tax receipts are tied to how wealthy the Americans are feeling with stock prices going up. If the stock market rally stalls and the market crashes, it will affect the tax receipts of the government. Deflation, the interest they have to pay will increase. Basically, the dollar will sink and the gold will rally. This is a classic desperate attempt by the companies in the top to shore up their valuations further and further and manufacture profits
Out of thin air.
out of thin air.
Yeah. So this is how you should, separate noise from signal. Yes, when the headlines came out, it looks rather interesting. It looks rather like very happy.
The real reason, if OpenAI is paying $100 billion check to Nvidia, I can understand. Or is Nvidia giving $100 billion to OpenAI and say, please buy whatever you want? It makes sense. Basically, it is plugging their own products, inflating the cost. Then the value of the stock allotted will be inflated and the paper book, because it's all private company. So what you value is what you
your
feel.
opinion.
These are dangerous times. Thank you for watching Be Rich. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you did, kindly hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Turn on the bell notification. If it is possible, send this video to your friends and relatives and have them take a look. Once again, I thank you for your support for Be Rich.